Welcome to episode 3 of our Rockwell Survivor series. Today we are looking at surviving activations, and we're kind of basing it around Studio 5000. We're looking at just a small part of activations, and it's based around where we get most of our questions from you, our customers. So one of the biggest issues we find right now is Rockwell introduced a new CodeMeter license in 2018. This kind of coincided with version 27 of Studio 5000. So any license that's been issued since 2018 is a CodeMeter license, and you need certain versions of FactoryTalk Activation Manager for this to work. So there's a little confusion, and hopefully today's presentation will help with that confusion and try and straighten that out a little bit. So I've got a little video here, and I'm going to start this playing now. So I've opened up FactoryTalk Activation Manager, and if you go to the About, you can see that I have version 4.04. If you have 4.03 and above, when you enter your license information, it will create a CodeMeter license. If you are before 4.03, it will not create a CodeMeter license. It will create a Flexera license. So I've already put my serial number and product key in. I went into Get Activation, put the number in, and I'm going to validate. This one is for Studio 5000 Standard Edition. So if you expand it a little bit, you'll see a few more different options here. One of them is this product version. This is very important now, and it's a little bit complicated. But if you select version 27, right? 27 is the first version of the CodeMeter license. So that will actually activate everything from 20.05 all the way to version 33. So if you were using an earlier version, let's say for instance 17, this will actually create a Flexera license. You could actually select 26 and it will do the same thing, because 26 will also create the Flexera, and it will activate all versions, but as a Flexera license. So 27 and above will be CodeMeter, 26 and below would be Flexera license. So in this case, say I activate version 26. I'm not going to download the activation at this point, but this would actually activate all my versions with a Flexera license. Now, if I was going to be doing this on a network activation server shared with remote laptops and computers, then I would actually go into the advanced, and I would select the CodeMeter server and check this box where it says Run Network Server. Okay, so I just check this box. That would make this activation manager available to remote computers. Now, if I went into here and selected version, for instance, version 17, this license wouldn't be available on the remote computers because 17 would be node locked. So what you need to do is select version 26. And when you version 26, that would make a concurrent license, and it would be available on all of your remote computers. So you can see now that it's very important to understand your license version that you're using when you're purchasing your new software. If you've been to the software portal and looked at the different software packages available for Studio 5000, you'll see there's a legacy version. So anything that's version 20.05 and before. So basically version like 6 all the way up to 20.04, you would have to purchase a legacy edition. Looking at that last video, you would see that all the versions were available there. And that's because it was an existing license. If you bought a new license, it would only show version 33 down to version 20.05. It's very important when purchasing a new Studio 5000 license to know what version numbers you're going to be using. If you bought a license through the portal, or you were planning to buy a license for Studio 5000, there's two different selections. One is just a regular license, which is the CodeMeter, and then there's a legacy license. Now, with the legacy license, that's a Flexera license, so it will activate all versions. So if you've bought the regular CodeMeter license, that will activate versions from 33 to 20.05. So if you open up RSLogix 5000 and you receive an error saying this is not activated and is operating under a grace period, if you go into Activation Manager and check what version your product version is here, you can see here it's at version 33. So that's a CodeMeter license and will only activate versions 20.05 and above. If this is an existing license that you own, or it's a legacy license that you purchased, you'll be able to go in and fix this by going into Rehost Activations, select the activation, and continue rehosting. Once you have rehosted, if you go back to Find Available Activations and refresh activations, you'll see that it's gone. Go back to Get New Activations, put your serial number and product key, and validate, and then select from the drop down and select version 26. When you select version 26, it will create a Flexera license, and that will fix the issue with Logix 5000 version 19 under a grace period. It will activate all versions. Now, if this is a version that you bought through the software portal and you did not buy the legacy, then you will only be able to activate back to version 20.05. My recommendation in this case would be to update the firmware in your controller to version 20, and then you can use this software. So having showed the activation process through Activation Manager, you're all very familiar with that. You can also activate your software now from your welcome kit. So when you purchase software through the portal, you will receive a welcome kit email. And in there, you will have some links there to download the software and then activate the software. And then when you activate, it will give you this option to run or save the software. If you're going to be activating software on the computer that you've downloaded to, you can just select run. If you want to put it on, for instance, a network server, you can save it, transfer that file, and then run it on the server. Now that server has to have FactoryTalk Activation Manager, and this will actually give you an option to install that also. So this is the link in that welcome pack email, and you just activate. You can also assign a user. If you fail to get the welcome kit email or you can't find it, you can log into the software portal and actually open up your subscriptions and manage subscriptions, and you will see that you can download the activation certificate. One of the things with the software portal is you can manage all of your activations through there. So every piece of software you buy, you will have a copy of that activation certificate. We get an awful lot of calls from people that have bought software previously that have lost the activation certificate and no longer have the product key. So as we showed earlier, for rehosting, if you had to rehost a license, you need that serial number and product key to get that license back. So this just shows a little difference with the CodeMeter features over the Flexera. So you'll see that the license is actually encrypted and stored in a different file than the Flexera license. The Flexera, you could always modify that. You cannot modify the CodeMeter. And the CodeMeter is supported by 64-bit systems. Also, when you activate, a Flexera license will not give you a version number, but the CodeMeter will actually show you what version you're activated at. So we've got some resources on the knowledge base. Most of this information is pulled from certain tech notes. Just go into the knowledge base, type in CodeMeter activation, and there's lots of information there. Or you can contact me and Richard.